Do you have what it takes to medal in the Olympics or break into the ranks of the Hall of Fame? Maybe you don't have the all-around talent of Michael Jordan, the versatility of Bo Jackson, or the natural charisma of LeBron James. But if you devote enough time and energy to the sport of your choice, there's a chance you can overcome any pre-existing physical limitations to excel out there in the field. However, there are some physically fit specimens in the wide world of sports who can do the Spark Notes version of training in less than 10,000 hours and become record-breaking athletes in half the time. But hey, don't despair. Whether you're sweating it out on the court or sitting on the bench, take a time out and join the richest as we decide who would win in a battle to the top. Will it be the most talented or the most trained? Chug some Gatorade, set your pace, and on your marks, get set, go! First, if you're gonna be the best at something, you have to fully commit. So click on that red subscribe button to join the richest as we work our way to the top of the internet. Let's face it, everyone wants to be the most popular kid in school, and traditionally, that role's been taken by the star football player. Whether you're in school or you're out, there's a clique for everyone, and even if you want to be a star quarterback, a defensive forward, or a kick-ass volleyball setter, there's different positions that might be better suited for you just by judging your shape and size. Outside of your shape, your internal body chemistry has a huge impact as well. And if you come from a long line of home run hitters, the chances are you'll inherit the specific traits needed for that level of hand-eye coordination. In fact, about 50% of fitness success is connected to genetics. That's why you'll see close relatives find themselves in the limelight every so often. Five-time NBA champ Tim Duncan has Olympic swimmer Trisha Duncan for his sister, and Jets Pro Bowler Nick Mangold has Olympic weightlifter Holly Mangold as his sister too. No matter how hard one may train, high responders who are genetically predisposed to quickly adapting to physical obstacles are much more likely to be top athletes than low responders. We all wish we had good genes inside of us, yet it's not one gene that makes or breaks our athletic talent. There are multiple genetic factors that could lead to you becoming an expert in any field. And it could be as simple as you inheriting the trait of being tall that could give you an added boost in your basketball skills. If you're lucky enough to have the right version of actin 3 in your genome, you could follow in the fiery footsteps of Usain Bolt. Everyone's got the molecular protein of actin 3, aka alpha-actinin 3, inside their genetic makeup. But there are 3 different types that just might define how you physically react to the world around you. If you were to undergo a special test known as the Athletic Talent Laboratory System, or ATLAS for short, the results could reveal whether you're destined to be a power player or a spectator from early childhood. Some scientists challenge the validity of the test. The makers behind the ATLAS test hold true to their belief that it can't predict sports playing prowess. You see, there are 3 different variants of actin 3 that you might have, and depending on which one, you may excel at sports that require quick bursts of energy powerlifting, running, and hot dog eating. Okay, just kidding about that last one. The only gene they need is a Gene Simmons tongue to help down as many hot dogs as possible. Anyway, it's believed that around 1/7 of the world's population have a duplicated variant where the actin 3 gene just doesn't work. With a non-functioning version unable to produce protein for muscle cells, whoever has this actin 3 deficiency is probably not going to win the World Series anytime soon. The general population tends to mostly have a mixture of the variants, which seems to be a dulled-down version of actin 3. Generally, your average person has a cocktail combo of the variant traits you'd see separately in marathon runners versus relay racers. Endurance athletes have different volumes of the type of actin 3 that's specifically related to endurance skills rather than those who play explosive sports, but they each have a high concentration of actin 3 allele that aids in their specific type of performance. Still, some rules are made to be broken. There was actually an award-winning long jumper who was missing high levels of not one, but both the XX, or endurance version, and the RR, or sprinter version of the gene. That didn't stop him from competing in 2 separate Olympic Games, thanks to his heavy training regimen alone. And speaking of heart, it always seemed like the weakest of the Planeteers' powers, right? Captain Planet's team of teenage underlings would always show off the awesome powers of fire, water, wind, and earth, and then Mati would flash his heart ring and magically do whatever hearts do, we guess. But heart can get you a long way if you're driven enough, and that means devoting enough time and energy to becoming an expert in your field. Any professional will attest that it takes years of throwing blood, sweat, and tears into your passion before you can officially be one of the best around. The popular Canadian journalist and author Malcolm Gladwell put it into specifics with his 10,000 hours rule. First defined in his book Outliers, Gladwell argued that it takes 10,000 hours before one can truly be an expert at their craft. At 3 hours per day, it could take you 9 years to master the violin. If you write for an hour and a half every night, you could complete your magnum opus within 20 years. Seems daunting, yes, but there's something nice about putting our wildest hopes and dreams into an attainable time period. The only problem is the 10,000 hours rule has been debunked. A Princeton study published in 2014 analyzed the effect of deliberate practice with much more diverse test subjects than those who Gladwell analyzed. The scientists found that deliberate practice, in which the pupil was being as useful and economical as possible with their training time, still only saw an improvement in their finished product by 12%. In sports, improved practice caused only about an 18% jump in skill level. Practicing can give you a leg up, especially if you're a hurdle jumper, but you're probably not going to outrun the competition unless you have some of the longest legs on the track to begin with. So while genetics seems to be just as important as disciplined practice, the key factor in separating the advanced athletes from the normies seems to be trainability. In an interview with Time magazine, David Epstein, author of the book The Sports Gene, detailed that the famous athletes aren't able to manipulate some all-powerful force like a Jedi Master. Albert Pujols, regarded in recent times as one of the best baseball players around, falls in little more than the 60th percentile when it comes to his visual acuity. But Epstein argues that oftentimes it's not about seeing the ball that's being pitched towards you, it's about seeing where it's going and timing your reaction to it in order to get the best result. Say, a base hit or a double or an out-of-the-park home run. Look, a lot of factors go into making a star athlete. A healthy mix of natural talent and measured training. But the ability to learn, grow, and improve is likely the most valuable asset to any aspiring player. Having a high baseline for endurance is often defined by what's in your genes. They control everything from your circulation to your bone structure. But it's the best athletes, regardless of God-given talent, who recognize their own flaws and aren't satisfied until they're better than the day before. They realize that while the training is a big investment, it's worth all the hard work in order to become the next Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, Tom Brady, or even Bugs Bunny, if space b-ball happens to be your jam. And that's the end of the video. Do you think you have the talent, training, or desire to win? Or are you fine just hanging back in the stadium and enjoying the show? Well, you're in the stands of the richest right now, and whether you're watching on a phone screen or a big old jumbotron, stay tuned to the richest to learn all you can about the human body and the world around it.